This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
I'm not going to say
a few things. First of all, for those of you that have opened up your Korach CD and been very frustrated putting it in, hearing nothing, well, in Misery Likes Company, you were one with 200 other people. All the Korachs that went out in the first batch were blank. The CD master was blank. I only found out about it after I got who knows how many emails and calls. You should have already gotten out a replacement CD, because I sent out another 200 replacement CDs, which meant that I had double postage costs last week. Postage cost me last week over $600, way over $600. And again, if anybody wants to be a postal sponsor, it's a great help. 718. Thank you. So we just had Mr. and Mrs. Roy Alexander just helped to defray the cost of $200. Thank you very much. And they are Talmidim Mufakim of the share. Thank you for your assistance. We learned with the tefillah that all those that are waiting for their shidduch should find their shidduch quickly and easily. All those that are awaiting children should be blessed with Zarakaya, Kadama, healthy mommy, healthy baby. All those that are looking for panos or better panos should find their rev up in the covet, and all of us should enjoy a lot of new disease and shalom bayis. We also pray that all those that are touched by Genemakla or related diseases should have a reflection, and all of us and our loved ones should always be healthy. Another note to all my wonderful CD and tape subscribers that sent in money for our Shul's dinner, the 30th tribute dinner to my wife and myself. Many of my subscribers sent in very beautiful ads, and I want to tell you we were overwhelmed. We appreciate it, and Hashem should reward you for being with my Kehillah, which is a place of great Mabot study. Thank you very, very much. The parsha starts off Zois Chukas HaTorah, and the last parsha, Parshas Torah, ended off with the words Lo Yisechalu v'Lo Yisamusu. So this prompts the Ben Ish Chai to make a connection. He says if a person wants to ensure v'Lo Yisamusu, that they shouldn't die, the remedy is Zois Chukas HaTorah, is to learn Torah. Now it's interesting because we spend so much money on insurance, and the hope is that it should be money that we don't get a benefit. People buy life insurance, but they don't want to die. People buy health insurance, but except for having babies, they don't want to get sick. People buy fire insurance, but they don't want to have a fire. But the real life insurance is the insurance that keeps us alive. So we know that there's a recipe for that, because we know that when David Amelech said to Hashem, when am I going to die? And Hashem says, no man can know his case. So then he said, on what day? So Hashem said, on Shabbos. So he didn't spend his day on Achnosas Arba. Even though it says he didn't spend his Shabbos working with visitors. He learned Shabbos Yom HaMalayla. That's what he did on Shabbos, because Shabbos keeps away the Malach HaMavis. And so too we have the famous Gemara that it says that Rabbi Bar Nachmani, it's current in Bava Metzia, on Daf Tes. Gemara says that Rabbi Bar Nachmani was being chased by the Malchus. He was being chased to be executed by the government. He went and he climbed on a palm tree. Now, a palm tree isn't that much in the way of concealment, but he climbed on a palm tree and he learned Torah. And when he learned Torah, the Malach HaMavis couldn't get near him. So Torah is life insurance. So that says the Ben Ish Chai, the great tzaddik from Baghdad, the great chacham of the Svardim. You want to know the formula of real life insurance? It's Lcha Chalulu, Lcha Musu, Zois Kukasatay. Actually, I always tell my seminary students that the reason, one of the important reasons why they want to marry a young man, that Torah is an important part of his daily schedule, is because of the fact that we learned that when the Malach fought with Yaakov, we know that that Malach was Samuel, Samkel, the poison of God. It was the Malach Hamovas. Vayar kilo yachalot, couldn't prevail. The lesson of that we learned by Yehovah Yishimoya that lesson is a simple one. And that is you want to defeat the Malach Hamovas, that he shouldn't prevail, he shouldn't come into our homes. The recipe is to have what Yaakov embodied, and that's Chayim. Yaakov Yishtom Yosheva Olim, the tents of Shem Ve'ever. Yaakov was the man of Torah. Titen Emes Yaakov, Emes is Torah, Emes Kinei Val Tivkar, Emes is Torah, Torah is Emes. That's the way. So you want to know the Lcha Musu? The recipe for Lcha Musu is Ois Kukas HaTorah. It's the way of the Torah. Kobayis that doesn't have Torah in the night, Eish Oichlos. That a house that doesn't have Torah in the night can be consumed by fire. So you say, if that's true, then there would be a lot of homes that would be ablaze right now in the sun. Answer is there are all kinds of fire. There's fire of fighting. There's fire of fever. There's fire of jealousy. There's all kinds of fire. Torah is, as it says in the pasuk, Eitz Chayim hi l'machazikim. It's a tree of life to those that hold on to it. You have to hold on to it. Orech yomim b'yamina, or like it says, Rifoi tzila sharecha l'chol b'samei ma'im. It promises health. You know, sometimes a person goes to a hospital. It's frightening. There's so many things that could go wrong with the human body. A person says, Hashem, I'm scared. Getting on in years, there's so many things that could happen to the colon, to the head, to the heart, to the lungs, to the liver, to the pancreas, to the kidneys. There's so many things that could happen to the mind. So, of course, the first thing that we do is we never take it for granted. Varim sheroitz lahasmid ba, things that you want to continue, I'll tiftach ba. You don't take that for granted. Rather, you do exercise, one of the most important pieces of advice in all of Shas. La'olim yabakesh adam shelo yechla. Always pray not to become sick. La'olim. Always. Never let. Even when a person is in the best of health, sometimes you hear a report, a person came back from the golf course, he came back from the basketball court, he came home, and he dies. Never had a heart condition. Scary, but it's a reminder that a person doesn't only pray to be healthy when they're not feeling it. It takes chokmah. Chokmah is a person who has foresight. Now, we tend to be reactionary in our treatments. I have a problem, I'll daven to Hashem. So the Gemara recommends, no, don't wait. Pray towards the time. Don't wait for a problem. Person should pray that they shouldn't have meniscus problems. So many people have it. They shouldn't have lower back pain problems. Person should pray that they shouldn't start forgetting things. A person should pray that the body shouldn't start to shake. A person should pray that they shouldn't start feeling chest pains. No, wait. But besides that, says the Ben Ish Chai, the Eitzah to keep the Malach HaMavis away. This alone is a reason to learn. You say apple a day keeps the doctor away. There's certain things. Tzedakah keeps the doctor away. That we have a recipe. It's a Medish and Shira Shirim. Tira the like Tiftach La'anga, Tiftach La'atzim. A door that doesn't open for a poor person will have to open for a doctor. It's when the doctor's the house calls. Now, instead of opening for the doctor, it means the door will open to go to the doctor. But it's the same idea. So, tzedakah is a very good thing to keep away the doctor. But also type. Now, just incidentally, on the pasuk Zos Chukas HaTorah, the Targum interprets Zos Chukas HaTorah Dog Gezeres Horais, which literally can be translated, this is a decree about Torah. Dog Gezeres Horais. So it happens to be that a terrible tragedy happened on Erev Shabbos, Pashas Chukas, and there's something known as a Tanis Tzadikim. There are righteous people that fast this Friday, Erev Shabbos, Pashas Chukas. Why? The Erev brings down because in France, on Erev Shabbos, Pashas Chukas, over 20 wagonfuls of Sfarim were burned in public. It was a terrible thing. They collected all the Shas and all the Chamashim, and they made a public burning in France. And it became a Tanis Tzadikim. So you'll say, why? We don't make fasts on the day of the Parsha. We make fasts on the day of the month. Why did they make it Erev Shabbos? They should have looked at the day of the month and made the fast on the day of the month. You know, what day of Tammuz was it? Year over year. What day of Sivan was it? The answer is because there's a remiss to it, because it says in Pashas Chukas, Zos Chukas HaTorah, dog is saying it's a right, there was a decree against the Torah. This is and also because the Rebbe brings down on Erev Shabbos Pashas Chukas during the time of the Tachatak massacre, the Chmelnytsky massacre, 2 entire cities were wiped out also on Erev Shabbos Pashas Chukas. So therefore, it became known as a Tanis Tzadikim. Some people fast until Chatzos, until 4 minutes to 1, on Erev Pesach, on Erev Shabbos Pashas Chukas. Now, it's interesting. We all know the connection between the Bria and Torah. It's eminently engraved and etched in our memories. Bereshis Bara Elikim as a Shemayim Esamas. So Hashem created, and it says Bereshis Bishvil Torah Shenei Bereshis. Because of the Torah, that's called Bereshis. But actually, it's inherent also. The Oshiv Avraham says it's inherent also in Zos Chukas HaTorah. So the Torah is called a Chayt, and the world is called a Chayt. Why? Because it says in Loi Grisi Daimon V'Loila. It's not for my covenant day and night, which refers both to Bris Milah and to Torah. Chukas Shemayim V'Aretz Loizah. So we see that the Torah is called a Chayt, Zos Chukas HaTorah, and the ways of heaven and earth are also called the Chayt. What's the connection? He says a fascinating thing. He says, just like the world is unchanging, what I mean, the Moiled Alavana hasn't changed from Briyas HaOlam a Chelik. Of course, there are alterations that we have to make to the Mabel for the time that the sun stood with Moshe Rabbeinu and Yeshua. But barring these alterations, the world did not change for not a second, a chelik, a millisecond. Says the Oshiv Avraham, the same thing is true with time. There are people that would like you to believe times have changed. things that were important in the olden days, they're not important. You know, at one time, it was resting, but now, not to turn on the air conditioner, not to take an elevator if you live on the 58th floor, not to drive a car if you're away 2 miles from the shul. You know, to tell women that they can't do certain things in our day and age, not to accept certain lifestyles when it's become prevalent. Times have changed, you know. That was good for antiquity, not for modern man. That's always been the cry of the reformists, of the neological Jews. Like, things are different now. So therefore, says the Osher Abraham, that's why the world is called Chayk, and the Torah is called Chayk. Just like the world is unchanging to a millisecond, so is the Torah unchanging. You know, all the way back, assimilation started, and the first evidence of widespread assimilation happened in Egypt. It says, Kishemeis Yosef Hefeiru Bris Milah. It's a Midrash right away at the beginning of Shmoyis Rabbah. When Yosef died, they annulled the Bris Milah. Amru, they said, Niyeh Kimitzriyah. Let us be like the Egyptians. We don't want to be different. It's the first case of mass assimilation. Medrash Rabbah, Shmoyis Rabbah. That's why they started persecuting us. Miyad, hapach libam lisnayamay lisnakel bavad. Of course, this is something that repeats itself all throughout history. The more the Jews want to become like the God, to be accepted, the more Hashem repels us from them. That's what happened. It happened in Spain. When the Jews got too close, they got too comfortable. It happened in Germany as well. It happened in Germany at the time of the Holocaust. Bill Miller shows a study that almost all publications were non-Orthodox. The mass media of the Jews were non-Orthodox. Widespread assimilation. So to block widespread assimilation, Hashem put on us a yellow star. Don't forget who you are. Of course, that doesn't answer the Holocaust. A lot of it's a deconfiguration. We have to wait for Mashiach to come to explain us everything about 1.5 million children under the age of 12. And we have a lot that is unanswered, a lot that needs to be explained by the Eibush. But assimilation is what I always wondered. Anybody that's learned the Septus, the Dara, knows that the Lashon Hefeiru is a Nidorim term. Kishemeis Yosef Hefeiru Bris Milah. Now, what is the word? Hefeiru means they annulled the Bris Milah. What does that mean? So there's two ways to remove a vow. A husband could annul the vows of his wife, Yom Shamay, on the day that he gets it. A father could annul the vows of his young daughter. And a chacham, either a Yochid Mumcha, a single sage, or a panel of 3 like we do on Erev Rosh Hashanah, could be matir in it. What's the difference between Hafara or Hatara? The answer is Hatara works retroactively. When a chacham is matir, neder yakrutz, it's as if it never happened. A father can only annul the panel lahava. The Medrash is being very precise. The assimilationists never say it's no good. No. For our elder brothers and Zaydis, it was okay. The people with the push carts, the people in the hovels in Europe, for them it was okay. But for us, sophisticated people, it's a new world. It's a new world, new opportunities. These details, since it's not for us anymore. They never do our Torah. They never say it was never good. And for us, it doesn't work anymore. So it says the Torah, says the Hashem Abraham, just like the world is non-changing, the sun and the moon doesn't veer a millisecond off its course. The Torah is unchanging throughout the ages. You have to remember that. So it's as an interesting medrash on Zayis Chukas HaTorah that opens up this week's parsha. Fascinating medrash. The medrash says, Mi yitain tahor b'tam. Who presents pure from impure? Lo yachad? Isn't it the one and only? That's a medrash. Interesting medrash. Mi yitain tahor b'tam. Who produces pure from impure? Lo yachad? Isn't it the one and only? And it explains the medrash. Kigayin Avraham b'terech. Avraham came from terech. Chizkiyahu mi'achutz. Yoshiyahu mi'amon. Mordechai mishiri be'geira. Who does this? Who produces that which is impure, that which is pure from that which is impure? Isn't it, it says the Gemara, isn't it Yachid b'Yachid, isn't it the Rebbeinu Shalom? So the Friedrich Rebbe is a top Christian brother, the Fiducia Rim says, what's the point? He says, a person becomes infinitely great because he had to battle his way to greatness. Avram became such a maker in the Rebbeinu Shalom because he had to fight tooth and nails the pagan beliefs that he was brought up with. The Chidush Rim makes such a contemporary motion. It's such an interesting thing. He says, nowadays, you can't even get the youth to play ball. They're in the gym. They're bodybuilding. They're with the weights. Says the Chidush Rim. You want to get a strong physique, you don't use little wimpy weights. You want to get a strong physique, the heavier the weights are, the more you'll gain. Right? Like they say, no pain, no gain. Right? I could also lift 5 ounces weights the whole day. 2 things in my hand. Not going to get bulging biceps. I'm not going to get a steel torso from lifting toothpicks. You want to get something, you got to lift heavy weights. He says that therefore we must know that the greatness comes from the challenge. He says that this is pshat. Later on in this parasha, it says, "Bo cheshbon, you should make cheshbon le'shalchayim. Schar mitzvah kineged hefseid." So he says that's to be understood literally. The schar mitzvah is kineged how much you're going to lose. Yeah, you know something? You're a Yankee fan. And the Yankees are doing well. Are they? No. Probably doing well. They have a chazan. And the Yankees are doing well. And they're playing. And you want to see the game and miss 3 daf yomis. So it's challenge. The bigger the challenge, the bigger the person you become. The Torah comes mitomeh. That's the way it is. If it's smooth sailing, so you don't become a man of steel. The bigger the challenge, the bigger a person you become. Here's a person that he had a challenging week in Shalom Bayis. But his midah of tolerance, his midah of patience, his midah of sensitivity and kindness became sharpened through the friction it becomes sharpened. We're not asking for it. We say, I'll to be able to live it. We're saying, no, we're not asking. But when it comes, that's Tahar Mitomei. The Tahara comes from the Dhamma. Very important. So it's because I tell you the Medrash says. Now we have an interesting word from the great tzaddik, the great Kaddish, Reb Zusha Menakov. The Heilige Reb Zusha said that it says that we blow the shofar on Rosh Hashanah, not too far from Rosh Hashanah, 2 days after Labor Day. We blow the shofar on Rosh Hashanah. Why? We blow the shofar on Rosh Hashanah in order, listen to this, to confuse the sun. So everybody asks, the sun isn't so easily confused. He does the confusing. If anybody does the confusing, it's the sun. It's not so easy. He confuses all of us. He confuses us when we want to pay attention to davening. It's amazing. How many times we don't pay attention to our davening? Because the sun confuses us. He confuses our priorities. He's not easily confused, the sun. Not easy to confuse the sun. And yet, we blow shofar to confuse the sun. So Rav Zusha says, let me tell you something. He quotes a very interesting medrash, which I was not familiar with. It shows the lasting power of the attribute of the world of Midah K'neged Midah. There's a medrash, so it's a main medrash. The medrash says, Chol HaMidah is Babu, Midah K'neged Midah Lcha. Measure for measure never ceases. That's a hard and fast rule in this world. Hashem rules measure for measure. Measure for measure. Says Rav Zusha, when we do the rules of the Torah that we don't understand, Rabbi Shalom, I'd like to have a meat and cheese sandwich. I heard it's very good. I mean, I'm using Satma meat. J&J milk, come on. So I put them together. But so what? They're both 100% kosher, 100% plus 100% is. But no, you can't have it. That's worse than pig. Pig is not also by no, this is also by no. Pig is not also the cook, this is also the cook. It doesn't make sense. It's a cook. Can't have wool and linen together. What's that all about? What's going on over here? I can't keep it. What would happen if I plant a vine and a vegetable? Come on, what would be so hard and bad if I work an ox and horse together? I mean, I follow the words even though I don't understand. Hashem says to the son, look, this is going to help. Even though there's no understanding. But a horn, they blow the horn. The shayf. You do my mitzvahs, below Havana, says Rav Zusha. I'm going to help you even though there's loy Havana. That's me to be. That's chukas adar. That's why it's so important to fulfill chukim that we don't understand. An interesting cipher based on a basis in Sudas that to Gimel on the base. It says Kishemeis Rebbe Batlu Kedusha. When Rebbe passed away, holiness ceased. After all, Rebbe is not a Rebbe, not punished. It says he never put his hand below his belt. He was totally on Kedusha, also means separation, precious. When he died, he stuck up his 10 fingers as rich as he was. He said, I didn't benefit from this world even with my pinky. So he was a Kaddish. Shemai's Rebbe, not the Kedusha. But Tosfos says an alternate pshat of this, which is so interesting. Taisa says that one of the Balei Tosfos was Reb Chaim HaKohen. Chaim HaKohen writes, Tosfos and Suvas, that if he was there at the time that Rabbeinu Tam died, he would have attended his funeral. Gone to the cemetery. He says, because it says, Kishemeis Rebbe Botlav Kedusha. And the Yeshalmi says, when Rebbe died, all sanctity was postponed. Everybody, even Kahanim, were able to do the Kahanim to that. So, Reb Chaim HaKohen says the same thing would be true for the Rebbe Natar, the giant of our generation. Interesting things that Sam Sefer says there's a Rebbe in this week's Parsha. It says in the Parsha, listen to the Lashon of the Parsha. Kol hanogea b'meis b'nefesh ha'odom asher yumas. Whoever touches a mace, a person that dies. That's redundant. That's repetitive. Kol hanogea b'meis b'nefesh ha'odom asher yumas. Of course, if it's a mace, he died. Did you ever hear of a mace that was alive? That would really be a sight. What does it mean? Kol hanogea b'nefesh ha'meis asher yumas. Says the Sam Sefer, he's a mace that's dead. That's not a tzaddik. A complete tzaddik. Tzaddikim afilu b'mitzazim b'riyim chayim. The righteous, even when they're dead, are alive. So many ways. They inhibit us with their memory. When we speak about them and say their teachings, sifsoisa, doivavais bekever. It's so important. You have a Rebbe say things over in his name, giving him a gift, his lips moving together, giving him alive. By the way, the flip side is also true. The wicked, even in their life, they're dead. There are mummies, Lebanon mummies, walking all over the place. That's not life. It's not life. It has to be meaning to be life. That's the answer to the big puzzle. We say in davening, "V'chol ha'chayim yeducha zel." We say it 3 times a day. It's not true. V'chol ha'chayim yeducha zel. We know many people that are atheists. There's a sign in the subway. 1 million people are atheists and they're happy. What about you? So what's the meaning of Chol HaChaim Yeducha Zela? They're not thanking Hashem. They don't even believe in Hashem. The answer is, it says Chol HaChaim. They're not alive. They're walking mummies. That's not life. V'sham Afilu B'chayim, that's not life. Now, I will tell you that others, it's good to know because we say it every day. Some learn this differently. The Chol HaChaim, and for all of life, Yeducha Zela. You think? The Chol HaChaim, for all life. Some of the major translators of the Siddur translators. But we would have thought then it should say Ula Chol HaChaim. But there are some of the major translators that translate it this way. The Chol HaChaim, and for all of life, we will thank you. Never stop thanking you. By the way, that's our claim to live. It's our claim, like we say, please help us live and be established. Why? What right do I have to ask him such a tzaddik? Because we thank you. That's the saying in the Shul. So there's different. What profit with my blood if I go down to the pit? Will the earth thank you? Will it relate your praise? Shema Hashem v'chaneni, give me a freebie. Chaneni is china. Hashem eyoizali. Afachta mispini lamacham v'yitak t'saki v'tazeni simcha. You know why? Why do I have the right to ask for these things? Lamani is amer chacholoi. I'm going to sing about your glory. I'm going to tell people about your world. Below Yidayim, I won't be silent. Tashem L'Kai, I'll make a career to always thank you. So we say Hallel. The dead don't thank you. They do, but none of those. They go to the place of silence. He bless you. That's our claim for life. There's a sefer, a Sephardi sefer. It's scary. The way certain great tzaddikim had different ways of looking at the Torah. You know, it says the Torah is ein cheker l'smunasa, there's no end, it's boundless. There's so many secrets. There were people that were able to plumb it and reveal some of the secrets of the Torah. There's a sefer, a Sephardi sefer, called the Hakan Ezra. And he says that in the pasuk of Zois Chukas HaTorah, Asher Tziva Hashem Lemor, are hints to succeed in learning. So he says, first of all, Zois, which is gematria 408, has the same gematria as Chesh. You should learn with a Chesh, with a desire. But it says, Ein Adam Loimed Ala Mashem Yiboy Chofetz. It's very good advice. If your child is not having geschmack in his learning, it doesn't bode well for his future. So that's why you have to find a Rebbe that's enthusiastic. He's not just doing a job. He has a brain. He has an excitement. He has to inflame, ignite the passion of Torah. So says the Achanaz, Zois is B'gematria Chesh. Then he says, Chukas. He says, Chukas is an abbreviation for Chedva, Kedusha, and Tshuva. Chukas is Chedva, Kedusha. Chedva is happiness. You see, they say that Torah that's learned when a person is unhappy is not good. They bring down a remez from this. You know that one of the people that lost their Olam Haba, even though they were incredible Talmud Chacham, is Doeg by Doeg. So the lashon by Doeg is that Doeg Torah min asafo l'chutz. His Torah was only from the outside. But we learn it homiletically, says the Achanaz, if a person is dying, he's worried, he's not learning the Siddur. Then the Torah is not absorbed. There is such a problem. Torah needs to be absorbed. It's interesting. It's not like mathematics. Mathematics, you just have to learn the numbers. You don't have to care about that. You don't have to be passionate about that. You just have to. Torah is not that. Torah has to be absorbed. That's why we find the almost unheard of fact that there was a great Talmud Chacham, a world-class Talmud Chacham by the name of Geneva. The Rosh Yeshivas told the Bachrim, when Geneva walked into the base of Medrash, don't stand up. Now, first of all, to say something so negative to Bachrim, it's almost unheard of. You don't like to be negative. They were told not to stand up for Geneva. Why? Ish Meriva. It's a quarrelsome person. Okay, look, nobody's perfect. You don't understand. It's impossible to absorb Torah and be an Ish Meriva. Because the essence, the mission statement, the core of Torah is shown. It's a Rambam. Hilchos Chanukah, you heard from me many times in this show. Shekol HaTorah Kula Nitna Lasa Yishonu Ba'elim Shenema Dorchel Da'akinah B'chol B'sim Etc. Geneva was quarrelsome. He's a man of tremendous talent. It's impossible. The Titus, it must be, it wasn't a sword. It's an asafal chutz. That's not a bad thing. We don't stand up. Chedva chukas is chedva kedusha tshuva. Torah, of course, only Torah is kaddish. It can only thrive in a receptacle that's kaddish. A receptacle that's coming, it doesn't thrive. It's like putting your favorite beverage in a receptacle that you put in urine. It could be the finest bouquet of wine, but you're putting in something that just had urine. There has to be kedusha. And finally, he says that the top is tshuva, as it says in Lcha. Amar lekim malach l'saper chuka. I don't need you to learn like that. So a person is always doing tshuva before he learns. It's always doing tshuva. But try to do that. Then he says, this is all in the pasuk. He says, Asher Tziva. Tziva is big match 101. 90 plus 11 is 101. He's supposed to try to learn things on at one time. So if you're already Mother said it, he said, I know the story hitting the rocket. It's okay. You learn 101 times. Then he says, this is all what he sees in these few words. He says, Asher Tziva Hashem Leiman. Of course, Hashem is Yud Kei Vav Kei. So that's Rosh Tevis Aleph Tzadik Yud Lam. Is the Gematria Nova. Remember, this Torah is fine by the humble. Should meditate it. And then he said, Leiman. Because if we really want to learn, it has to be on learning of Nassau. We're learning to teach our children. We're learning to share with our spouses at the table. We're learning to share with a friend. That's what it says. Omal Yulai. Omal is little like Amanasal. V'atamin sham Miriam, v'tikaber sham, v'lo yamayim lei. Miriam passed away. There was no water. Amazing calculation that the Sapsika makes. The Medrash says that Miriam passed away on Yud Nisan. That, by the way, is the reason why we celebrate the miracle of the Korban Pesach. That we took the Korban Pesach 4 days before on Yud Nisan, and we tied it to our beds. They took their God, and they couldn't do anything to us. Imagine taking the God of a nation, and that they would all watch quietly. Took it, and they said, "What are you doing with our God? Oh, we're slaughtering it. We're slitting its neck." And they gnashed their teeth, and it was a great miracle. That's the miracle of Shabbos Agol. So everybody asks, why is Shabbos Agol celebrated on Shabbos? Many times it's not Yud Nisan. We should make a celebration of Yud Nisan. The reason why we don't make a celebration of Yud Nisan is because Yud Nisan is a sad day. That's when Miriam died. And Miriam was one of the greatest people to ever live in the history of mankind. You have to understand, the Be'er Shel Miriam was such a miracle. Just to think of it, anybody here that's ever been by Niagara Falls, maybe Niagara Falls could give to drink 2 million people. I don't know. I've asked people about it. They weren't sure. But one thing is for sure, if 2 million people kept on drinking, I don't think it would last for 40 years. But more than that, Niagara Falls doesn't travel with you through the desert. And Niagara Falls wasn't stored in a mobile rock. That was Miriam. That was a Be'er Shel Miriam. It was the most stupendous miracle. So Miriam passed away, Yud Nisan. Says of some cipher, the Be'er for sure continued during the Avelis of Miriam, just like the world wasn't destroyed by the Mabel until after the Avelis period of Shlach. So that brings us to Yud Zayin Nisan. After Yud Zayin Nisan, they went 3 full days with water. it comes out that when did they complain about not having water? On Chof Aleph Nisan. Chof Aleph Nisan happens to be the day of Kriyas Yamsuf. The Sam Sofer says, amazing. There were those people that said that the miracle of Kriyas Yamsuf wasn't enough. What happened is that the Moshe Rabbeinu knew when in the stars there was a koyach to dry out water, and that's when he did Kriyas Yamsuf. So therefore, deliberately, Hashem wanted on the day of Kriyas Yamsuf that Moshe Rabbeinu should speak and water should come out of the rock. The opposite of drying up the water. To show that it's not in the stars. And that's why he wanted that Moshe Rabbeinu should speak to the rock. Because hitting the rock was not like Kriyas Yamsuf. Kriyas Yamsuf, Hashem said, Daber Elohim Yisrael. Just do it with speaking. So he wanted to do it with speaking. And therefore, when Moshe Rabbeinu hit the rock, it wasn't Yana. Shalai Amantim Milak Nishayni. I wanted you to speak. But to understand, what's the difference? Speaking, hitting, that's a difference. What's the difference? There's a very, very vital Yalkut Shemayim to understand the symbolism of what Hashem wants. The Dibartem El Hazel, speak to the rock, says the Yalkut Shemayim. Tavshin Samad Gimel. Sheina love Perek Echad U'Maitzi Lachefad. Speak to the rock. What was he going to say? Please give us water. It says the Yalkut say to the rock about Torah, and it will produce water. What's water? Water is Gesher. It's Gashem. We all know that we equate water with Parnasa. Al-Achad Midoyin Al-Hamayim means that that's the Parnasa. The key of water is not given over to anybody. That's Parnasa. Mayim is Parnasa. When we were an agricultural society, it was simple. Mayim is the symbol of Parnasa. And therefore, Hashem said, I want the people to understand that the Parnasa comes from the Torah. By hitting the rock, you took that whole lesson away. But that's a lesson that all of us need to hear, because how many people get it mamish completely in the reverse? They don't go to learn because they're busy with Parnasa. They don't realize that if they go to learn, they wouldn't be so busy with Parnasa. They mix it up. They don't realize that it's the Shema Perek Echad that brings the mind, and that's the great lesson of the Dibartem El Hazel. That's what the Yalkut Shemayim is saying. It's an equation that we have to know. Look, maybe when I retire, I'll learn. Don't wait to retire. I'll tell you like to She'ef Nashim. Shema Leiti Pama. That's a very good. Now that statement in Pirkei Avos, people say, look, you gotta learn because you never know. You might not make it to retire. It's not just that you never know. It's that the learning will get you to retire. That's chus. It's like I always say, it says that we say Vidui by Mincha on Erev Yom Kippur, Shema Teichonik by the Suda Mafsekes. Because maybe somebody will choke by the Suda Mafsekes and they won't have said Vidui. All of a sudden, Lamisa like Hashim. Suda Mafsekes, some people are choking like the Suda Mafsekes. The answer is that maybe you had a Gezeira last year. And this is the last time for the Gezeira to be fulfilled. And by saying Vidu, you won't die. Doesn't mean say Vidu in case you die. Say Vidu that you should die. That's what it means. We have to realize when it says, don't say when I get a chance, I'll learn. Maybe you won't get a chance. Learn so that you will get a chance. Like we said in the beginning of the shit, that's a Zchukas HaTorah, that's the life insurance. That Lo Yisamusu. Also, people wait for retirement, and then the hearing isn't so good. The retention isn't so good. The vision isn't so. What are you waiting for? Wait. I have to tell you, it's before the summer. People should already be making plans. I hope part of your plans of your summer schedules to come here every Tuesday night. I want to remind you that the week of Shabbos B'Tammuz, Shabbos B'Tammuz is on Tuesday. That week I'm coming in from the country special to give shir Monday night. Because I don't want to make shir Tuesday night. Shabbos B'Tammuz, I'm tired. B'Tammuz is over first. After 9, so people are not going to feel like coming here at 10:15. After B'Tammuz, so I'm coming in where just that week we'll have shir Monday night. So I hope you'll join me for that. But I hope you'll spread the word around. Come here to learn Torah with us every Tuesday night. They didn't have water. But you so they gathered. Always. When there's a complaint, you ask for volunteers, all of a sudden everybody has to run home and tell the wives. But a complaint, I got plenty of time, nothing on my schedule. What do you want to talk about? So, no problem gathering. But then an odd thing happens. They contended with Moshe without doubt. It's all good. Says the Beis Avram, when they came to Aaron, they couldn't talk to him. They were embarrassed. They knew he was an Oyev Shalom. They were ashamed to complain. If a person makes their whole makeup making peace, people have trouble talking to them. They couldn't do it now. An interesting thing. Like about Moshe, Aaron, they couldn't do it. They just couldn't fake. They were embarrassed. Very fascinating, Beis Avram. But you want to hear something from the Psalm of Hadashim. This is a sefer that plummets the character of a person, teaches us about our makeup. Such an interesting concept. Why did you bring us up from Egypt? Not a place of figs, grapes, and pomegranates. Ask the Psalm of Hadashim, they mixed it up. It's not saying the Geffen Berimon, it's Geffen Teina Berimon. Right? It says Geffen Teina. Why does it say the Geffen Berimon? It should say Geffen Teina Berimon. You know what he says? Very interesting answer. He quotes a Sifrei. The Sifrei says, "Hapol lichlal kas, pol lichlal tots." You get angry, you make mistakes. They got angry, they got the water room. But that's a klal. You have to know when you're angry, you make mistakes. Don't try to solve things with your spats when you're angry. Hapol lichlal kas, pol lichlal tots. You get angry, you make mistakes. You're not logical. You just make mistakes. That's a klal in life. You know, Rabban Yisrael teaches us this. When Moshe Rabbeinu came to petition Hashem to forgive Klal Yisrael for the Chet Egel, so Hashem said, "Chavei ma'at rega ad yamor zah." Hide a moment until my anger passes. Now, Rabban Yisrael is not influenced by anger, but he's teaching us by example. Ein meratzin la'odam b'shas kas. Don't try to reason and appease a person when they're angry. Don't, when you're angry, don't be mechanech a child. You want to make a mistake, you're angry, you're fuming, and rightfully so. That's not the time for him. You're going to make a mistake. Don't do it. Don't be mechanech when you're angry. Gabi gets angry in Shul, don't make any decisions. Don't make any decisions. If you're angry, you're going to make mistakes. But that's something to remember. It's a big piece of advice. It says, Yanoi Han Kamantin be like the shame. Everybody, I remember a Diet Weinberg used to say, this pasuk alone shows us that the Torah wasn't written by Moshe Rabbeinu. The non-believers say, yeah, Moshe Rabbeinu wrote the Torah. It's not divine. Who would write the Torah and put in that he died because Yanoi wanted to be like the shame? Moshe Rabbeinu, who went up to Hashem. Moshe's very name, Mem Shnei, spells Hashem. Right? So, you didn't believe in me, like the shame. Can you imagine Moshe Rabbeinu writing that about himself? The stark truth of the day. So it's interesting. Rashi says over here, because he hit the rock, instead of speaking to the rock, that's why he didn't enter into Eretz. The problem is, in Sanhedrin, Rashi gives a different reason. Rashi says it's because he called the Bnei Yisrael rebels. Shimu no Amorim. Listen now, you rebels. It's a sneer in Rashi. Not a sneer. It says the Yalkut Gershuni. It's not a sneer. He lost the privilege of going into Eretz because Yahweh wanted to be like the Shem. But he could have got forgiveness. Because it says, Kol ha'mavra al midosav ma'avira mimenu al kol shor. Whoever looks away is forgiving the sins, but he called them Moira. He didn't look away. He said, Shimon not Moira. He lost Eretz. He could have saved the day. That's a lesson to us. Sometimes somebody gets us really angry. Somebody does something. We can make a whole song and dance about it, or we could look away. But what happened again? It's not right. Have to set the record straight. What will people saying? All the righteous indignation. The one thing is, if we look away, we buy big brownie points with the revolution. He could have yet overcome not to be like Yishen. And he said, Shimon not Moira, says Yishen. He wasn't Abraham, he was. Afterwards, Yasaf Aaron Alama, below Yomoy Haaretz. Very interesting question that they asked. Why is it that we don't find Moshe Rabbeinu praying from Aaron after that? That Aaron should have the mitzvahs on. That an interesting thing. Why don't we find it? Why don't we find that Aaron? I want to tell you after this, I have one more word. So, if somebody gets ready their engines, you get sneak in the mile at 11. Somebody's going to have to go up here right away. You can't pass go, you can't collect $200. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait till 11:15. So that's the rules of the management. But anyway, why don't we find that Moshe Rabbeinu did 515 mitzvahs that he should go? Why didn't he pray for his brother? Aaron's 3 years older. Why didn't Aaron pray? It's a fascinating medrash that gives us a clue to the koyach of a gadol. The medrash says, everybody was brought into Eretz Yisrael to be buried. Moshe Rabbeinu could be buried in Eretz Yisrael. They brought Yosef and they brought all the. Why Moshe Rabbeinu have to be buried? Why did they bring him into Eretz Yisrael? Says the medrash, such an interesting medrash. Im atam nikbar kan etzlan v'schusahem bon. If you're buried with the Doradeya, you will schlep into Tchias HaMetzim. If you're go into Eretz Yisrael, you're going to leave them behind, at least they're on the level. You're buried with them, you'll schlep them. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu knew that either he or Aaron had to be buried with them. Once Aaron was buried with them, then he figured maybe he could go in there himself. Aaron would take care of schlepping them. So he downed 550 fills. Hashem said, no, you're needed too. You don't have to. We don't realize. Sometimes we take for granted our Rabbanim, our Rosh Yeshivas. We don't know that sometimes, later on, they might schlep us into Ganesh. They might be a Melitz Yoshev for us to schlep us to the world. Finally, such a Pashut Devar, I never realized it. It says, Vayivku as Aaron Shloshim Yom. They cried for Aaron 30 days. They cried for Aaron 30 days. Call Beis Yisrael. Wait a second. What about the killer B'Shoyeh who was sent to the Machne of Leviah and it goes free with the death of the Kohen Gadol? I'm sure he wasn't crying. The answer is nobody in the entire years in the middle was ever killed B'Shoyeh. It was one of the amazing things. There was no death B'Shoyeh amongst 2 million people living on top of each other. Because nobody was happy that Aaron died. The person that would get home would be happy. There was no killer B'Shoyeh all the years. Again, I'd like to thank you. A reminder, last week's Kairah CD that I gave over here was a blank. I have replacements. So if you got a dud, please see me. Mariv now. Chanani ben Akasha, I don't say Kashbov, Shazaki, Shkov, Peter Gibble, and Princes, Nemad, my company, my sister, Dr. Turner, we got.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.